Hello, friends. It is time for our webinar, The Three Keys to Communication. We talk about this every month, and we actually took a little hiatus for our holidays. So happy 2026. This is your Three Keys to Communication webinar for February. And it's just going to be a short recording this time. It turns out a couple of our attendees who had RSVP'd have some other things come up, which happens. And so this is great. It's for all the members. And so you get to watch it at your leisure. You know, I'm Coach Kiki. I'm Keela Parkinson. I'm your feelings mom online. I'm your feelings mom here. I'm your confidence coach. And I have been speaking in front of people officially as a communications coach for 17 years. And I am shy. I am not a confident communicator in my heart, right? I would much rather sit in the back of the room surrounded by books and maybe even like hiding in a book and just listening to the conversations and eavesdropping. But I like to communicate. I like to connect. As a kiddo, when I did that, I would find myself wishing I could join in for pieces of the conversation, especially one-on-one or just with a couple of people, because introvert life, right? And I did not know how to break the ice. So that was one of my first things to do, was to practice doing that. Through the years and through the lessons and through becoming a mom and having this practice for almost 2 decades, I've learned all kinds of things. And I've created a proprietary system that I call the Three Keys to Communication to make this, a lot of the things that I've learned, very accessible and very quick. So today we're just going to go over what those three keys are. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to tell you the Coach Kiki language for it, and then we're going to translate them to the soft skills. So are you ready? If you're recording, no matter what speed you're listening to this on, grab something to record with, and let's process what you're learning. I'd love to see you go into the Confident Communicators Club community post and start just sharing a little bit about how you're practicing using the three keys this week in your real life, at work, at home, because you really can use them anywhere. I've even used them as a driver, and I'm going to talk about that too in a second. Maybe you've heard some of these stories before. If you've listened to the webinars, we also have the content available in a course where you can kind of process what you're learning and how you are starting to practice this. So we talk about all this and more. We actually do a clinic at our Confident Communicators Clinic, which is our sister community here on School. You can up level, you can get into that. You can practice in real time with actual peer-to-peer feedback and my professional feedback for only $50. So check it out. There's actually a 7-day free trial period. Go into the courses also and check out Confident Communicators Clinic and get ready to level up in 2026. Okay, three keys. One by one, they are self-honesty, relational honesty, and universal honesty. What does that even mean? Self-honesty, relational honesty, universal honesty. Right away, you can see we start with ourselves and our awareness, and then we move out from there, right? And we hold ourselves accountable to everything, to the whole freaking universe. That's what we do with these three keys. We take it where we are, first of all, self-aware. That's the soft skill set that translates from the first skill of self-honesty. It's self-awareness. So we show up and we say, what am I bringing to the table in this conversation? Am I excited to be here? Am I nervous? Am I irritated? Am I bringing with me things I can't quite let go of? And this isn't about compartmentalization. Luckily, the world has moved away from purely compartmentalizing and saying our feelings don't matter. We're more emotionally intelligent than that overall now, and kind of from everywhere in the globe, right? We're finding emotional intelligence being taught in a lot of different school systems the world over. We're seeing people use it in global workplaces. We're seeing people use it in their little corners of the world and in their family systems, which is beautiful. I love all of this. I applaud it, absolutely. So with the three keys to communication, what we're looking at today, and the first one, self-awareness, it's just bringing the basic knowledge. We don't have to overwhelm ourselves with knowing all the things and overthinking. If you're somebody who moves into analysis paralysis and can get really caught up in the thought spiral and rumination, that's by no means what I'm asking you to do. We can break it down even further with another handy tool that I call the BMT index. Right now, grab your phone, your smartwatch, whatever you use to set a timer, and set a timer for at some point today to go off at any point and spend 1 minute just writing down, what do I feel in my body? What are my moods? And what are my thoughts? and just identify what you can. A lot of people will start this off by saying, oh, in my body, I'm feeling anxiety. Okay, good. That's a mood. Where are you feeling anxiety? Is it butterflies in your tummy? Is it an elevated heart rate? Shortness of breath, sweaty pits, right? What does anxiety feel like to you? Notice these things: body feelings, mood feelings, and thoughts, because our thinking can be tied to our thoughts. Honestly, my self-awareness is my tea could go on for days. I could write whole paragraphs and pages on the thinking I have, because I can certainly over intellectualize, right? So when I break it down to my body and my moods, some people are like, I don't even know the names of my feelings. I just said I'm feeling anxiety. Can't that count? Of course. And then if you just don't know the names for the moods and it all feels a little overwhelming, again, if that M is your tricky spot, the four corners of feelings, I like to call them: mad, glad, sad, and scared. Basics, right? Almost everything else derives from those. Depending on what emotional intelligence, wisdom you follow, there could be 7 or 8, maybe 9 different basic feelings that we all show on our faces, and they may be universal or not. Sometimes people will say animals feel them. Again, there's lots that's coming online as far as the wisdom. I have to say, I love Daniel Goleman, Dr. Mark Brackett, and the Eklunds. Love them, Paul Eklund and Eve Eklund. So those are the camps I endorse and love and learn from. I've beta tested all the apps they've ever had out. Love to be first users of their systems and their knowledge. And to not get too hung up on what the wisdom is, break it down to those 4 corners and let yourself know. First is self-awareness. Start with where you are. It's putting that map on that, that X on the map that we all need whenever we're setting our goals. And so X is, you are here. I'm starting with this. I'm starting with me. And then we move on to the second key. And that's the relational honesty, right? So I know what I'm bringing to the table. And so that second key, that soft skill set, is empathy. Empathy, and I like to say, for self and others. Because again, starting with ourselves, right? So this is what I am bringing to the table. And then I have compassion for myself. Whew, I've had a hard morning. There's so much going on, right? I have a lot of feelings. I'm doing the BMT index. I see what I have. And then the way I talk to myself about it, that's going to help me either shift and move into being available to the next thing that's coming, the next conversation that I need to really focus on, or it's going to come with me still, right? Just knowing that it's there, that's just the first step. I need to give myself compassion. I need to have empathy for myself so that I can have empathy for others, because I cannot give you empathy if I can't give it to me. So we're starting with that. Again, inward to the outward. The second key is relational honesty, or empathy for self and others. The third key, that universal honesty, that's the accountability piece. And that's the soft skill that it is, accountability. And I'm going to give you a metaphor. And I said, I've used it behind the wheel for sure. I definitely have. And I will continue to throughout my life as a driver, I am certain. And so this is that accountability piece, right? Imagine that you get up in the morning and your alarm has not gone off. You're late, you've overslept, you've got somewhere you need to be right out of the gate, and the whole morning's off, right? And then things just compound for there. Maybe you can't find, that special report you're supposed to take with you. You can't find it. Where did I save it? Where did I save the file? I need to access that. I need to review it, right? I'm not thinking clearly to even think about reviewing it. I can't find my lucky sweater that I'm going to wear, right? Whatever, my power suit blazer, whatever that might be for you. I can't find the special totem, the anxiety rock I keep in my pocket, right? That helps me calm down. Something. I can't get centered. I'm not taking the time because I'm quickly doing the next right thing. Okay, fine, fair. And then we're moving out. We're getting out of the house. We've managed. We're trying to get out the door. We're doing the best we can, and then backing out of the driveway. Maybe we are tensing up in that wheel, but we're not paying attention to it again. We're not using the self-awareness at this point. We're not using that first key of self-honesty. So we head to the expressway because in this metaphor, we're driving. So we head to the expressway. If you're not a driver, imagine being a passenger, maybe even on a city bus, right? And you're trying to get to the place. But in this metaphor, we are driving. We're behind the wheel. So getting onto the expressway and somebody cuts you off. And how do you respond? In that moment, without that self-awareness, without that self-honesty, we can be very reactive, right? Now, maybe we've never done this, but we've seen other drivers do this, right? If we're not drivers, we can say, I would never, but it's hard to say until you're in that moment. So it can be easy to react in that moment. It doesn't have to be behind the wheel, of course. Plug in your own metaphor again if you're not a driver. But in this metaphor, we are merging onto the expressway and someone cuts us off and we react. Now, again, this is the part where we've only really ever seen other people do this. It's certainly never been us. But imagine that driver then, the person who's cut us off, also is not employing self-honesty or relational honesty. And then we see the game of chicken happen, perhaps, right? Drivers getting very angry, road rage can ensue. And now everyone on the expressway is in danger. And that's the third key. So we have the opportunity to apply self-awareness at any moment. It could be when we're smacked with that relational honesty part, right? It could be when we're smacked with, ooh, empathy for self and others. I'm not employing it. Something's getting out of hand here. And unfortunately, sometimes it happens when we're in that universal honesty, universal responsibility, accountability piece where someone else brings it to our attention. This has become a danger to the office. The team has noticed that you XYZ, right? We are hybrid here and we still have rules of decorum, yada, yada. So whatever the agreement is in your community that you're showing up for, and whether that's just being a participant driving on the roadway, maybe it has something to do with the workday. Maybe you have an appointment to get to, right? And you've got all these justifications in your head, and we still have that opportunity to rein it back in and bring it back to the first key. So just for a second, let's do a check-in. The last piece I'm going to add to today's quick webinar recording is a check-in for each of us. So whatever you're doing right now, you might have been listening to this on 2 or 3x speed. Just go to normal speed for a second and put your feet as flat as you can get them on the ground. Get your spine as straight as you can get it. Notice what you notice for a second. Isn't that interesting? Notice what you hear. Notice what you feel in your other body sensations. You might feel annoyance at a sound. You might notice the mood of wishfulness, wishing you didn't have the next thing on your calendar, or that I would stop talking so you could be quiet. Isn't that interesting? Notice your breath as it comes in and out of your body as you continue to identify what you feel and notice in your body, your moods, and your thoughts. You are not your thoughts, but you are the one observing your thoughts. And isn't that interesting? And you notice these thoughts, you realize what you're thinking, and you notice yourself becoming curious and interested, creating some space, taking this opportunity to shift a little throughout the rest of your day. Place your palms down. Breathe deeply in through your nose and out through your mouth. You might choose to do this 2 more times or not. You might choose to deepen Elongate that breath in and out. You might choose to notice the grounding sensation in your feet and your hands. When you're ready, smile and shift and come back to the room and to your day. I challenge you to use the 3 keys to communication today and for 1 minute every day for the next 2 weeks. Keep communicating with confidence.